Do you like bikepacking? Do you like watching somebody fail? Then you're in the right place, my friend. We're gonna go over my most recent bikepacking trip, October 2024 edition. Hi everybody, this is Kevin from Adventure Whatever. Recently, I went bikepacking, and here's the who, what, when, where, and why. Why are we bikepacking? Well, because we can. Because it makes us happy. I want to see how far I can push my sleeping setup in the wild, the one that I've been working on. Pics, Spokane, Washington State, to Fishtrap Recreation Area along the Fish Lake / connecting with the Columbia Plateautrail. It's an area managed by the Bureau of Land Management, BLM. It's the third weekend in October. It's forecasted to be pretty nice, in the 60s. Pics. We got a cold snap with some frost early morning before I left, and I was hoping that the forecast would stay true and warm up a bit. This BLM site allows for year-round dispersed camping. I'm new to this whole idea of planning trips on public lands, and this is really aimed at increasing my own comfort with that, and hopefully as a result advocating for more people to go out and do similar things and use public lands. We all have access to respect and use these places, but not everybody knows about them, including myself. I didn't know that you could camp on a national forest land for up to 14 days until this year, and I'm 30 years old and I've been camping pretty much my whole life. I thought you mostly just had to reserve things, either at the federal or state level or using something like dirt. There was a podcast that I listened to recently, right? And it was talking about public lands. This question was around social media being used to highlight areas that then get ruined. While this does happen and it is unfortunate, I also think that it makes a lot of sense that we share these places so others know and learn about them and can enjoy them for themselves. In this way, we have the opportunity to build community and the privilege to make more public land advocates in the hopes that it will lead to the development of more public lands to preserve and enjoy. This trip started like any other. Get ready, get going. Easy enough, right? No, it's never really easy, is it? But we do it because we love it. So I'm getting all packed, and I get all packed, and I head out the door, but I'm already kind of like an hour past my planned launch time. It's not a big deal. I have lots of time. I'm not really worried about time, you know. I'll get there. It's fine. It's not a big trip. Alright, we're going Fishtrap Recreation Area. I proceed to spend the next 2 hours getting some shots and going all of about 5 miles. That's an average of this many miles and this many kilometers per hour. For reference, that looks like this. Mind you, it's basically flat and downhill. Not a lot of hard climbs to be had, so I wasn't really worried about it. The 2 hours ended with me almost making it out of town, but then I got a flat. A big ol' flat. As I do, you know, just take a deep breath. It's gonna be alright. I have all the stuff I need. Right? I know how to do the stuff that needs to be done. I have a pump, I have a tube, patches, I have tire plugs. It's all good, man. I just, you know, start getting to work. I pump up the tire, maybe I get lucky, and the sealant does its job. Don't have to do anything more. It didn't. It was pretty apparent that it wasn't going to hold air. We move on, and we do the next thing. The next thing being a deep breath. It's all good. We got this. Move on, fix the flat. But first, I really hadn't been fueling that much, and I really hadn't been doing that much, so I hadn't really been wanting to eat or needing to eat. So I popped out my lunch that I had packed, and I started chowing down on that. That was a PB&J burrito roll, PB&J in a tortilla roll that I like. So I started nomming on that while I get to work. Put the bike, you know, in a good working position, and before you know it, I'm done, and I'm on my way. I spent the next hour mostly just trying to get miles in at a decent pace before I realize that I have to get going, and then I really start going at double pace. So in this time, I've made some shots. I've made some friends. I met some nice people. If you're watching, say hi in the comments. Hope you're out there and hope you're riding your bike. So I'm riding and 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 I'm riding. And as I am riding, the miles and the time starts to pile up a little bit. I get passed by two more nice people who inform me that there's a dead end up above, and I didn't really plan for a dead end. In my map, it goes straight through. But they said that there's a detour, go a little bit back, maybe like a 1/10 of a mile, and then get on the adjacent highway and then get back onto the trail at a different point. So I heeded their advice, and I turn around a short distance and take a few mile detour. Terrain was hillier than I thought, but it wasn't too bad. It just not, flat rail trail essentially. With the detour behind me, I got back onto the trail and I had probably about 2 hours left, I was estimating. Stopped filming so much, even more than I had. I focused on getting going. So I didn't want to get to camp super late. Like, later is fine, twilight is fine, even dark is fine. I just wanted to get there eventually. I got a few more golden hour shots, as one does when you're doing this kind of thing, because I had to, and some twilight shots as well. I could not stop myself. After a few more golden hour shots, I started to worry more about the miles and less about the filming, right? Because that's kind of what I need to do. So I started worrying more about miles. At one point, I switched to only phone just because I put my GoPro away. There wasn't a lot of good light, and I was losing light quickly. Every half hour that passed, it seemed like my pace was dropping, and I wasn't surprised by that because I hit some gravel. It went from paved to gravel, so I knew I was going to drop pace a little bit, but I didn't really know how much. Like, I knew it was going to be somewhere between like 5 and 10 miles per hour, kilometers. So every half hour that passed, it felt like my pace was dropping, but also the number of miles ahead of me was somehow increasing. Every time I checked how long I had left to ride, it was the same amount of time. Eventually I knew what I had to do in this situation is just keep hydrated, keep fueled, and keep riding. That's it. Keep hydrated, keep fueled, keep riding. So that's what I did. Determined to make it to my camp, I rode into the dark, passing the howls of the local coyotes and the fall rustling of the leaves. For the last 15 miles, I had been waiting for a turn onto a country road that would be the last stretch. As I crossed through a small dot of a town named Amber, my back tire goes flat. This is not the same tire that went flat earlier in the day. Fuck! This is the other tire. Okay, we've been through this in this ride, so we just do what we do. It's dark. There's no light. I'm worried that my light is going to die. And while it's a good light, and I'm glad that I have it, I've overlooked the packing of the cable to charge it. So once it dies, and it will, and it'll die soon, then I have to use my phone. And the path is getting more and more baby heady, meaning these kinds of rocks, baby head sized rocks. And yeah, and I'm like, fuck. It's like, damn, man. So it's like just after 7. Doesn't seem that late, but it's like the sun set at like 6:30, right? And it's like, it's past twilight. Like, twilight was like 5:30 to 6:30, whatever. It's like, it's 7. It's dark, and there was supposed to be like a full moon, but I didn't fucking get it. It wasn't around. It wasn't even close to a full moon. I don't even think it had crested yet. It was probably on the other side of the fucking world. Even if it was around, it would have had to be right over me because I was in basically like parts of a forest, very forested. This whole trail runs through like basalt canyons, which is really cool when you're riding it, not so cool when you want light. It's just after 7, so what do? Well, I already knew what my options were, thankfully. You ride all day, and I know what was going to happen. So I knew what my options were. I could call for pickup, I could try to fix the problem with the tools that I had, or I could just like sleep in place. Thankfully, there was a state park a stone throws away, and I had internet, so I looked up the website for the state park, but it said it was day use only. I don't know about you, leave it in the comments what you would have done, but I was totally fine sleeping in place, but I didn't want to like get in trouble or get ran away, or like, it's weird when you're out there and you need to camp somewhere that you didn't expect to. And thankfully in this case I had an out. I had somebody able to come get me, but I don't know, it just felt like the best course of action in my gut was to just call it in. I might have gotten away with sleeping there until I could fix my bike, but I didn't really feel comfortable risking it. I was bummed to call it in, but I called in somebody to come pick me up, and I was just glad I had a great day doing something that really fulfills me in a time of need. I'm glad that I had the option to bail and just feel safe. So I took a deep breath, right, tried to inflate my tires so I wasn't scraping the rim on the gravel, because I needed to move at least a little bit. I inflated the tire and it wouldn't hold air, so gravel grind it is. I walked around to just survey the surroundings, see where I was at, see what this town on my Wahoo looked like, the town of Amber. It seemed like mostly the turnoff for a highway, which ran through it. Not much to see other than 2-lane highway. I headed back to the trail where I felt it'd be better to wait. It's just a little bit off of the highway, and I wasn't hanging out on the side of a highway in the dark. I waited there for a bit, unpacked my bike to make it easier to load up into the car. I sat for a bit and I just had some snacks and thought about the day and thought what this video might turn out to look like. My ride came. The doors closed and we were on our way out after Taco Bell, of course. I was going to have dinner at camp, but I never really made it there, so I had that the next day. And here we are, the next day. Bought 2 tubes, as one does, and 2 tubeless valves, as one does. I also bought a second headlamp because I felt like I kind of needed it. It also would have been nice if I brought my mini USB charger, so that my helmet light would not turn into a paperweight after it ran out of juice. So that's the epic story of my epic fail of a ride that should have been easy, but with failure comes growth. I learned to maybe have 2 tubes. Can't hurt. I usually only bring 1, and I hardly ever need it, but in this case, 2. So in the future, 2. I thought this is the embarrassing part of the video. I thought both of my tires were tubeless. They're not. Just make sure you know. Go check. Just for me, please. If somebody had told me to just go check, I would have been like, no, I'm not doing that. I know. I remember the install. I know that my tires are tubeless. Why would I do that? And if you don't want to do it for me, that's fine. But if there's any doubt in your mind, maybe you did a hybrid where you got to 1 but not the other tire, so you just let it roll, that kind of thing. So if somebody had asked me, I would have brushed it off. I know what kind of air system I run on my own bike, okay? But I didn't. So there you go. Everybody makes mistakes. Which brings me to my next mistake. I should have added sealant to my tubeless system. Pretty sure my back tire was tubeless. I haven't repaired it yet. It's in the garage. So I should have put more sealant in my tubeless, assuming it was tubeless. As part of my redemption, I'm going to upgrade to what I feel is a little bit overkill but makes sense, is fully tubeless with extra sealant, with extra tubes, entering the retrospective part of this adventure. So I could have tried to fix it. I had patches. I could have patched the old tube, the first one that failed, and then assuming that worked, and then it would have been a good. But I didn't. So why didn't I do that? Part of why I didn't try to fix it before calling for pickup was I knew that my pickup wasn't going to be available all night, and my window for rescue was shrinking. I would have been able to been picked up in the morning, but like, who doesn't want to sleep in their own bed if it's available? Like, am I right? And the whole public land thing, I didn't know if I was going to get kicked off or shooed away or woken up by somebody that didn't want me there in a way that I didn't want to be woken up. So yeah, anyway. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe or do whatever you want. I don't care. But if you like my stuff, I'd love it if you come back. So those are things that might help that happen. If you loved it, say hi in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Just say hi. Comments, questions, and video suggestions. Comments, questions, video suggestions. Always recommended. Always welcome. Welcome. That's it. Take care. Take it easy. And don't forget to find some time to adventure.